what I'm getting ready to do is put some of these things in the ground right here. This is where my squash had been. Clean that all up, and what I do is dig a hole and fill it with my compost, and then set these plants down in it. Alright, what I'm going to do is just take a couple of shovelfuls of this sifted compost that I use. This stuff like black gold, what I call it. And then we'll just take this, and this is a Danko right here. So what I do is just break the lower leaves off, and we're going to get it on down in there. Try to loosen up these roots just a little bit. Stick it down in there. Put it in that compost. And let it go ahead and start eating. Because I know it's hungry. Been sitting in that little 4-inch pot, 3-inch pot, whatever it is, 3.5, for a while now. Been wanting to get out and get something to eat, and I just haven't had room for it. But now that the white flies moved in and pretty much took out my squash, I now have some room to put some of this stuff in here. And then we just come back in and pull a little dirt on top of it, because I'm going to have some weeds in that compost, and I'll put some dirt on it. Maybe that'll keep them down a little bit. Put my little label right there, that's Danko. And we'll go on to the next one. As you can see, this beefsteak right here is a bush beefsteak. I've already broken the leaves off the bottom, and it's got a really long stem on it. So I want to go ahead and put that thing in the ground. And right here, the ground was pretty hard. You had about 8 inches there, and then it went to red clay. So what I did, go get the post hole digger and dig on down in there. Make sure I have room to set that plant in there, so wouldn't have a great big old spindly stem sticking up. So we'd take the plant, and we're going to stick it on down in here. You get out of the way. And what I can do is I can break a couple more of these stems off, and you can see that got it in there another foot or so, and all along that additional foot of stem I'll be able to get some roots growing along it and help this plant do its thing. As you can see, I got all 5 of these in the ground right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a Danko, a Cheyenne, 2 bush beefsteaks, and the 5th one is a red rocket. Rather than having 3 bush beefsteaks, I stuck to 1 red rocket that I have in there. So the seeds came from Tootie down in Mississippi. Thank you, ma'am. And there's a lot of other people that sent me seeds. I've got tomato plants sitting all over the place. If you haven't seen one of yours yet, don't worry. It's on my list. I've got them growing. Just haven't got them in the ground or in a bag yet. But looking at the soil right here, you would never know what was down in the ground. This stuff right here is what came out of it. That red clay, almost as red as the pot is right there. But around here, this is what we got, a lot of clay. And this is how I get around not having very good soil. It's kind of like in real estate. The most important thing in real estate is what? Location, 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 okay? So in gardening and in vegetables, any kind of plant, the most important thing is soil, soil, soil. I found that out the hard way. Doesn't matter how pretty a plant you have, you stick it in crappy soil, it's not going to do anything. But you can take the poorest, sickest looking plants you have and put that thing in some good compost and watch them come right back to life. So these things are sitting down in the ground. The last 3 where I had to get the post hole digger out, they are down there good 16 inches down to the bottom of the root. So I've got a lot of stem in there, and they will do very well. Today is Wednesday, March 10th. So you follow along. We'll see how these things do, as they progress. Well, today is Thursday, March 10th. I think I said earlier it was Wednesday, March 10th. No, actually Wednesday was the 9th. Today is Thursday the 10th. Pouring rain outside, but fortunately I got a roof over my head and my roof doesn't leak. That's pretty cool. But I went ahead and got the cages put around these 5 plants that I did yesterday. And one of the things you can do, these are only 39-inch like hog wire. And I bought these a few years ago before I realized just how big tomatoes got. So what you can do is raise these things up off the ground a little bit. You can go 10, 12, 16 inches, whatever you want to, off the bottom. That actually gives you room in here. If you had them in your garden to get down and work the bottom, get the weeds away from it, you could also side dress it a little bit easier and increase the height of your cages without actually having to get a bigger piece of wire. What I'm working on right now is trying to get some of these seedlings potted up. I already got my first 5. These some red ponderosas right here from Steven. And something I'll show you. This is a regular solid flat. I don't have very many of these. Matter of fact, very few, but I do have a lot of the web ones and the ones with the slots in them. And one of the things that I do, this works fine. Put your pots in it, no problem. But to be able to make use of all the slotted ones, and so I'll actually have a bottom, I take a slotted tray, put a piece of this plastic down in there, and then set another slotted tray on top of it. Just trim up the edges, and that gives me another tray to use. Something else about these trays, sometimes one little tray is kind of flimsy, but when you take 2 and then 3 and stack them up together, it makes a whole lot sturdier little thing to be working with. What I got right here is a flat of 14 plants. Most of them come from seed from a lady up in Pennsylvania who was kind enough to send them to me. I got Yoder's, German yellow, some pineapple, garden peach, snow white cherry, and I see 1 Creole in here from Dut Dut. So what I'm going to do, since I'm pretty much out of space inside here, I'm going to get these things ready to plant out in the garden probably the last week of April. So what I'm going to be doing is putting these in a 3-gallon grow bag, 1 per bag, as opposed to the 5-gallon, and putting 2 in each one. Alright, I got my soil mixed up right here. Just went out there and sifted another wheelbarrow full. Got my little 3-gallon grow bag, and we're gonna make these things go real quick. We'll take this little snow white cherry right here, loosen up a little bit. Drop it down in there real quick. Snip these leaves off. Get it situated. Finish filling it with dirt. And it's that simple. I've got the roots actually way down here, so I've got a lot of stem in the soil, so I'll keep this thing watered, get the roots to develop along the stem, and this will be ready to set out in the garden. And what I may do is just dig a hole, set this whole thing down, just pick the whole thing up, set it down in the hole, and take a knife and cut the plastic away from it, pull it back, and let the plant do its thing. I can do that with a bag, but I can't do it with a plastic container because I'd have to flip it upside down. So that's another one of the advantages of using a bag. Alright, just for comparison, to show you how deep that thing is actually in the bag, let's take this one, this German Yoder right here, or Yoder German yellow, and I'm putting it about that deep, so you can see how much additional stem I'm getting inside the soil, and I'll get root growth all along this right here. And by the time I get ready to put these outside, these plants will be ready to just take off. Well, I got my strings put on this row right here, and got my tomato clips on there. I went ahead and pulled the suckers off, so they'll be good to go for a little while. Picked off a few white flies here and there, not too bad in here right now. And so now I can go ahead and get back behind here. I had to make me a walkway. And what I did was go ahead and pull up those carrots Made some real nice carrots. Not real long, but pretty fat. The last ones we had, we cooked them up and they tasted almost like yams. They were so sweet. Best carrots I ever had. Here's the 14 that I just finished up. They'll stay right here for a while. Up here on the north wall, it should be just a little bit cooler, so they won't grow too fast before about the 3rd week of April, when it'll be time for me to put them outside. Here's something pretty cool right here. Looks like this one carrot tried to become 2. And right here, looks like these 2 tried to become 1. Looked like to me they were getting just a little bit too comfortable under the ground. What you think? Alright, some of this cabbage right here is starting to need to be picked. I've noticed on the other side some of them have started splitting. I think where they're growing so fast. And inside this one it looks like the outside leaves are already splitting. So ain't no need to let it get no worse. We're going to go ahead and pull this thing right now. Ain't that pretty? Nice little head of cabbage. It ain't one of them big ones like the flat Dutch, but for an early cabbage, it makes some real nice coleslaw right there. I checked in the bottom of the refrigerator and we still got a few cabbage in there. So the one I just picked, I'm going to take it to somebody, and if I got to make a trip, I might as well make it worthwhile. So I got a couple of nice ones right here. We're going to go ahead and break them off. Nice pretty little cabbage. That was beautiful right there. That's nice. Real nice. And since this is the day to be giving stuff away, I'm going to pick some of these cucumbers right here. These things selling for 98 cents a piece at China Mart right now. That's a ridiculous price to pay for one cucumber, but that's just the way it is right now. So I'm going to pick a few of these right here off that one plant. That's 4 nice cucumbers right there. That's $4 laying on the ground. I'm going to take that and put it in somebody's hand and tell them to enjoy some of the best cucumber they'll ever eat. Let's cut some of this pak choi right here. We've cut a few out, 1 or 2 out of each box before, and cooked them up in a little stir fry, and they done right good. So we're going to come up under here and get this one. Look at that. Ain't that just pretty? Absolutely beautiful. Okay, now we're going to pick some of these bell peppers, these California Wonders. These right here have already turned red. Make a real nice addition to a salad. Mix in the red ones and the green ones, or throw them in with a little bit of that pak choi, a little extra season. What I'm going to do is lay them on the ground right here, and so I can keep up with them. But what I'm trying to do is I want to keep track of how many peppers actually come off of each plant. That's a nice pepper right there for a California Wonder. I've never grown any humongous ones. This one right here, that's a nice pepper. Ain't nothing wrong with that pepper whatsoever. And this is what we got to give away this morning. Got a couple of pak choi, got 3 cabbages in there, some bell peppers and some cucumbers. I'm going to take this stuff and spread it around to some folks I know and just share a little bit of what we got back here. Been mighty blessed to be able to do this.